Now, to cut the binding, I decided to use this. I double up, if you remember, from video 1. I was like, oh my god, I got 6 instead of 5. I thought, wow, this is nice. I want everything to be poinsettia themed. So I thought, right, well, I'll use this for the binding. But however, naturally, I'm not having it with all the ironing lines in. So before I cut it, I'm going to whip it over, and, my magic stuff is not magic. It's half water, half best press, Mary Ellen's best press. And I'm going to give it a good spray, and I'm just going to press it, and I'll be right back to you. So, by the magic of television, I have now got a crease 3-piece fat quarter, yeah? I want to use fat quarters for my binding. I generally do 2.5-inch binding, okay? I measured our runner, and our runner is measuring in my thing as 13 inches that way and 35 inches lengthways, okay? So I'm hoping I can cut, I'm restricted to the length I can cut by the fat quarter. So if I just turn the fat quarter the other way up, and then I'm gonna turn it, hopefully, as best I can. It's warped a bit because of the spray I put on it, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? So now I've turned it so that's the longest cut I can get. You could do it with your 12-inch ruler, or even on something this size, is 6.5-inch ruler, 2.5 all the way. But obviously I find it a lot easier to use my shape cut, okay, which I'll put on, and I find the line and put on the fold and move it along so I give myself, I'm going to cut a slither off of there, so now I've got a straight edge that way. This is on the fold that I've made, so everything else should follow. Okay, let's find another cutter. We like this one, didn't we? So let's use this one with the platinum blades in it. So that is my first cut, which is a 0-0 cut, 2.5. Some people cut them 2.25. So that's 5. 7.5. Some people cut them 2.25 because they think, oh, I don't want all that extra. But I prefer to be safe than sorry. 7.5, 10. More pulls off, and I'm going to cut all of this because it doesn't matter. 10, so that's like 1 again. So 12.5, 15. One more I can get out of it, which would be 17.5. So my only little bit of waste on that, if I put that back now, is that slither, and it was literally a slither off the edge. And hopefully these are all cut. Yeah, and that bit, right? And as with everything else, that I've cut off this quilt, including the edging bits that we cut off, all go in my kitchen plastic bag I got on up over there. All go towards stuffing something else or doing plenty of fabric rather than having to buy toy stuffing. It's all cotton or batting or something like that. So now, let me see. Let's see what size. Let me just move them. Let's see what size we got. So getting back our runner. So that obviously is very much long enough for that. Okay, and give myself an inch. Give yourself an inch over the top, and then take your next bit, and then give yourself the entire width of that bit of runner. Okay, to come down. And then another bit. Oh, let's say we're going to need, you want about 2.5 inch overlap always, and that's going to take me well past that end. You can't see it on the camera, but trust me, I'm just doing the same as I did the other end. You want 2.5 inch that way. Yep. And then 2.5 inch that way, and going around. Loads left over here. 2.5 inch that way. Oh, what have I got left? Let me see. And then I want 2.5 inch overlap that way, and then have I got another one? Let's see if this works, yeah, more than enough. What have I actually got left? 1. Yeah, so I think I've done really well at that quarter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I know I've got plenty of overlap, but I'm going to want it. So the next thing we need to do is to sew these together. The way I've always learnt, we want it in a long strip to start with, right? So the way I've always learned to join them together is to take one that's the right way up looking at you, take the next one, I'm hoping this is on camera, I'm going to try and make sure it's on camera, yep, and take the next one face down, and you want it, and that's not a straight edge, so I'm going to come in a bit from this top edge because it's not straight, yeah, and go along, yeah, and then I'm going to pin it. Here's some pins, and I'm going to pin it on the outside corner there, making sure that that's straight, okay, and then on the inside corner here, all right, so you can see that that's straight, can't you? Yeah, then I don't normally mark it up, but I will for you. Let me get a marker. There's a marker. This is an iron away marker, so that's all good. Let me go and get a straight edge. Easy straight edge. Not a great huge ruler, but an easy straight edge, yeah. And where we want to sew is from this corner. Making sure everything is equal from this corner to that corner, so we need to know where the edge of the fabric is, and it's there. All right. Why is that not working? There's always a way, isn't it? Because I haven't had my stuff out for so long. You're no good at all. You're absolute mocking about. Let's get one of my new ones. Newish ones. Oh, let's get a blue. You can see a blue, can't you? Again, these are all iron off markers. You wouldn't see it if you used ballpoint pen, but this is an iron off marker, which I tend to use for fabric. So again, from that corner, now you can see it, can't you? I hope. Can you see that line now? If I put it in, that's the sew line, all right? Can you see that? I hope so. I might have to zoom you in on that. That's the sew line. So then that you turn this, so this becomes the down one, and then another one becomes, making sure there's no, I don't think I haven't got any selvages, but if you did, you'd have to take that into account. You just want the fabric, not the selvages, yeah? Some more pins, Dolly. A pin in that corner, yep. And pin on this corner, yep. And then your sew line again is from the outside edge to where the fabric is on there. And that's your sew line again. And again, this then becomes the flat bit, and another one becomes the next bit. Now, so I don't need to do them all. You've seen it now, yeah? I don't need to do them all. So now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and sew it on those blue lines that I drew. All right, so it's one long piece. I think I might take you with me. As this, I'm editing this as a tutorial, so this is for people who write, oh my god, I do it. So I'm going to take you with me, so we'll do it together, okay? Yep. Yeah. I think I got you on the right sort of angle to dangle. Okay. So, I've just brought those pieces with me. Let's find the start. Here's the start, I think. I've not done them all that way at the moment, but there's the start, yeah? So, I need to sew this. So, let me get rid of the extras. I put it, wake up, and now I've got to change my stitches back to a straight sew. I want it at 2 again, because I want it to be, this is a piecing exercise I'm doing now, yeah? So I just want, I'm hoping this is coming out on the video, I just want that blue line to put my foot down. Straight needle, straight stitches, 2 wide, 2 lengths, and I just want to sew down, straight down, that blue line I just made. Okay, now I can take my pins out. And you always end up with your pins the other side of the machine. And when I fold it back, that may not have been perfect, but when I fold it back, that's my continuation, and I still got these bits to cut off. Well, obviously it'd be best for anyone if they do it a 1/4 inch with a ruler. I haven't got a ruler with me at the moment, so we'll just do it like that. So then that's my straight line, okay, and what I'll do is I will iron back flat that 1/4 inch seam, okay. I want to iron it flat, open, okay, that's what I want to do. So then we moving on, we get to the next one that we pinned, and again straight down the blue line that we marked, take pins out, and I'll get me, I know it's right, check it, but I know it's right. So I'm now going to cut a 1/4 inch and take those tails away, and then that is it continuing. Okay, and again, I'll iron that open, and that's how we go along. Okay, well, when you get a little bit au fait with it, instead of having to pin it and mark it every single time, I know that that's got to go on there like that, yeah. And I turn it slightly so I can get that point under my needle, and then I sew a little way into it. I check where it's going and make sure it's in a straight line. Open it to check, yep. And then cut my 1/4 inch. I'm going to iron that flat in a minute. Next bit, that one up, this one down. I fix it so it's, you know, meeting as a square. Okay, twist it so that that top corner is under my needle. A couple of stitches to pin it. Then make sure that you know where you're going, where your other point is. So I know it's right there, so that's what I want to go straight to there. I know it's going to be right, so I'll just cut mine. Okay, cut off my tails. Again, that's going to be opened and flattened in a minute. Okay, so there, you can see how this is going, can't you? And the reason why we do this, we want a bias join so that when we will flatten out this seam, but when the seam, we're going to then iron it in half, and that flattened out seam, it'll not leave you any bumps or lumps, and it'll be lovely, yeah? So again, that side, this is my last bit now. This side down, okay? So it meets up on the edge. I mean, you can do as I did, pin it and draw your seam so you know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, I turn it so I know that that point is going to go straight under the needle. Do a few stitches so it's locked. Then I just make sure where my end is right there. Make sure that that is in a straight line, straight stitch line. And off I go, making sure that fits under my needle, and then cut my 1/4 inch off. Okay, so now that's all my pieces that I measured around my quilt done together. So now I got to iron it, and as I said to you, all these seams I'm going to press open, okay, so nice and flat all the way up, and I'm going to press the edges together so I end up with a band of fabric that is doubled over, all right, like that. I'm going to end up with a pressed, doubled over band of fabric, all right. See you in a minute. And again, as if it's magic, that's my bit done. So, if you've done as I have done, you've now got a long strip with your seams pressed open, yeah, and the raw edges together. And that, if it was 2.5, that's 1 1/4 inches wide, ish. Okay. So the next thing we need to do, get a bit hot here, is to go back now to our quilt. Now I'd start, if I was you, Which way do I want to do it? Yeah, I still do want to do it that way, right? You need to leave yourself at least 6 to 8 inches. So you can say, right, I'm starting there. Let's put a pin in. I'm going to run out of pins now. Let's put a pin in and say, that's where I'm starting, all right? And ho-hey with that, right? And then or rough edges together. So your seam is pointing inwards. We're just going to pin this all the way around. And now I can just pin it in the hole down, yeah? Until we get to a corner. Okay. You're going to see me do this a couple of times, so don't worry. Alright, so edges matching till we get to a corner. Now when we get to a corner, we need to go at a corner, holding it at the corner. We need to do a 45-degree fold, right? So that the fabric is folding and going straight up to continue that straight line. Can you see that? I think you can. So that's a 45-degree angle at a corner, yeah? And then we bring that strip straight back down on itself. Just take a little bit of adjust. I'm holding that 45-degree angle, and then I'm just setting that down on top of it to come down the other way. And then I'm going to put a pin in that to hold it. Then we come all the way down. We need more pins, Jack. More pins. Just put a pin in there. Alright. Then I'm going to turn it around so you can see it in the same angle. We need to make a 45-degree angle here to this corner. So we fold it back on itself, but making that bit come up straight, 45-degree angle, so it's in line with the quilt. Okay, holding that angle down, we bring the top bit right back until it's square across the top, and then I'll put a pin in it. And that's you, Dolly, out of pins. Right, let me just go and grab some more pins. That's not gone through all the layers. And grab some more pins. Just a moment. Right, more pins. So we've done that corner. So now we're still meeting the edges together. I'm just pinning them sideways now, it doesn't matter. Okay, and we're just coming down the straight bit. I mean, you can pin your life out of this, but I don't feel the necessity to do it. I like to make sure that it is down. You know, it's in the right place for me. As we go. If you've got enough strips, I got another one if I haven't. Oh, is that one on? So, raw edges together, coming to another corner. Okay, got one more pin in there before we get to the corner. Alright, just one more pin there. And then we're going to go from that angle, 45 degrees. Alright, it might take a bit of faffing. If this is 90 degrees here, straight up, then that's got to be 45 degrees, and that's going straight that way. keep your finger on it and then bring it back. Don't let it twist or anything, and manipulate it so that it's straight across the top there, and get a pin into it from one end to the other, facing that corner. And then we come back down here, another pin. Come to the edge, please. Come to my edge, right? Pin it, and then we're going to do, well, let's put another one in. Let's just pop another pin in here, right? And I'll turn it again. So you can see exactly the same method. As we come to the corner, that's my 45-degree angle. If I take it, I might have to come back a bit, but if I take it straight up, and it's looking pretty straight on there, that's your 45-degree angle. Hold onto it with one finger as you bring it back down and settle it to being straight across the top. Okay, like that. Get your pin. Go from corner to corner. Oh, should have my timbers. Come back out then. Why aren't you coming back out, you little bugger? A spent pin. Oh, a spent pin. Just a minute. Get a better one. I use very fine pins. They don't like a lot of holes in my fabric. But because I use fine pins, that's not the best corner like you do. No, I'm taking that out. Let's do that again. I believe that angle was correct. Okay. But when I brought it back, I didn't settle it very nicely to go straight across. That's better. Now I can get a least bent pin and shove it back in there. Yeah, I do use fine pins, but they do get bent. That's the only thing. Right, so now we've got to a stage where we're meeting up with this bit. Well, I want another, having come round the corner, I want another pin in there to say, well, you know, that corner is fixed. All right. And this is the most important part, which might have to sort of like, Right, we need to finish this quilt with a bias join. It's exactly the same as all the other bias joins that we've made, but we've got to do it while it's on the quilt, which is why we want these long tails, okay? That's where I started. I'm going to move that pin now away and put it down here. All right, so I've got, plenty of long tails, yeah? So I'm going to put that tail down and say, well, I want it where it's about halfway between these two, roughly about there. So I'm going to put one tail down, and I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to use in my blue pen, and this time you do want to mark it, yeah? I'm going to say, I want that. I'm going to do a mark there, and then I want the width, whatever the width of this strip is. Mine was 2.5. If you were using 2 1/4, you'd want to mark it 2 1/4, but mine is 2.5. So this is a 2.5 inch ruler. So from that blue line, I'm going to make another line that is 2.5 inches away. Then, You might not want to cut it straight away. I am. I'm just kamikaze, and I am. But having done it a couple of times, if this don't work, I'll just cry, right? I'm going to cut off that at 2.5 inches, all right? Then I'm going to lay this one over the top of it, but as long as I can see where the original 2.5 line was, so I'm going to give myself a 2.5 inch overlap, all right? Because I know that's 2.5 inches, so this should be 2.5 inches, and mark that outside one. You see, I've just marked that one. I hope you can see. I just marked that exactly where the line was underneath. So now I got a 2.5 inch overlap, which is the width that this was originally. All right, and then I'm gonna cut that on my line. Ooh, scary, cutting that, right? Now, in exactly the same way as we did before, all right? Remember, when we did the binding in the first place, and this is why these are iron out pens, and you might have to scrunch up your original piece of work a little bit. This is exactly the same as we did before. We had a nice one coming this way, and then we had, where am I now? Might move that pin a bit further down. Okay, I'm going to move it a bit further down, just to give myself a bit more leeway away from the quilt. And then this one, we're going to put exactly the same way as we did before. Lay it on the top, okay. Take our pins, and this one I suggest you do mark, yeah. Lay our pins, and so we've got it sitting very, very nicely, okay. And our pin down here, okay. Have I still got it laying nicely? Yes. And then we want that and a ruler. Oh, what ruler have I got? I've only got this one with me at the minute, right? And then from there to there, your corner to corner. Check where your corner is. There he is, right? So corner to corner again. And draw your line. Okay. That's your sew line again, all right. And before we sew anything else down, I'm going to sew that on the machine right now, and I'll be right back to you. So all I've done is literally sewn down that blue line. Before I cut it, I'm just going to check it, because it has been quite a while since I've done this. And I'm going to fold it. Yeah. So it makes a flat line. Yeah. So now I know it's going to work. Now I can take my ruler and do a nice 1/4 inch cut on there. But I'm not using my ruler. And I am, before I start sewing the rest of it, I am going to open that seam flat and iron it. Yeah, but now, if I show you, when we open up the quilt, open up the quilt, and I am going to go and sew that line, you see how it fits. Never mind my thread. It now fits the quilt perfectly, and it is, I mean, obviously I can iron out that mark, iron that flat, and it now fits the quilt perfectly. well, you might have to watch this a couple of times, mightn't you? You might think, oh my God. You might have to watch that a couple of times. But whether you're making a mug rug, a little table runner, or a queen size built bed quilt, that's how you finish off a seamless binding. Because at the end of the day, when it's all is fixed to the quilt, nobody will know where I started or finished. It's seamless in that respect. There will be diagonal seams around, but they won't know where I started or finished, and it fits the quilt exactly. Okay, so let's review the steps I just went through with you for that. Next thing is we've got to sew it to the quilt.